James, we may be interrupted by the democratic process, which means there may be a vote at any given minute, so my words may be cut short. But I wanted to thank you for inviting me here this evening, amongst our other colleagues who are here. We meet in happier circumstances than perhaps before. As I was saying to some of you earlier, not everything in the garden is rosy, but it's a lot better than it has been, and I believe things are moving in the right direction. I was in Sri Lanka most recently in January. I was able to meet on a number of occasions with the Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and together we went up to Jaffna for the somebody told me earlier what it was? Taiponga, and where I spoke at that, which was a remarkable privilege. And I was able to meet again with the Chief Minister in Jaffna to discuss progress there. And whilst it's true that the military have been handing back land, I continue to put pressure on it. It should be more and it should be quicker. But there is evidence that is now happening, and the demining, funded in part by the UK, continues as well. But what is important, I think, in both the Northern Province and the Eastern Province, as I've said this before, is that actually the British Tamils actually go there and see for themselves what is happening on the ground and don't hear from friends and relations what they think is happening on the ground. It's important that each and every one of you do travel there. And equally, as the great backbone of British business that many of you are, as I said before, let's stop the idea that war's over. The North and the East needn't be based on remittances. They can be based on proper businesses, and if any group of people are good at business, it's Tamils. So I urge you to spend some of your money there, invest there, build up some businesses there, and get the economy going, because of course the economy is still very unbalanced. The economy generally in Sri Lanka does worry me. I think the vaults were raided by the previous administrators, he said politely, and they are very short of money. I've just been told this evening they've applied for a swap loan with China, they've already got a loan with India, and there's talk of getting a loan from the International Monetary Fund. They're desperate for trade, they're desperate for business, and I think that that's something the UK can do more, actually get more of our businesses out to Sri Lanka. Other countries are doing it, we're doing it as well, but I would like to do it at a faster pace than perhaps we've done it today. Where are we now in terms of peace, reconciliation, bringing together one Sri Lanka? Well, of course, we're all waiting with interest for Prince Zaid, the High Commissioner for Human Rights report, which is now due out, the progress report, which is now due out in June. We, of course, UK, were very key in sponsoring the report. We were also very keen, the original report didn't come out during the elections because we didn't want it to become a political tool for one party or another. But we do want to see how they are progressing in many of the things they've agreed to do to the international community. And I don't think the British government can be accused of being anything but firm and upfront in driving this process forward. It's a huge ask. It's trying to right the wrongs of years, but I believe they're moving in the right direction. And if they're not, we will be very quick to point out where they are falling short of what the international community expects. I think that Sri Lanka now has a better chance than it's had in many, many years. I think the chances of any kind of war opening up again are extremely slim. But never forget that the majority of this coalition government is quite slim itself, and that actually Mr. Rajapaksa and some of his colleagues are still there in the background, and that's something that President Sirisena and the Prime Minister and others are acutely aware of. They need to maintain the balance in their coalition, to maintain the governance of the country. Otherwise, we can see things going backwards quite quickly. I think the best hope for Sri Lanka is the present government under President Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. I believe that represents the best hope for many, many years. I don't believe that things are perfect, as I've said, but I do believe that the human rights situation has improved. I think the Sri Lanka Human Rights Council now has some independent members on it, which it didn't certainly have, I don't think, before. I believe incidents of white vans, and I see here there's various claims that the white vans situation continues. I'm not sure that I would agree with that. I think the evidence of torture we need to look at very, very closely indeed. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but we need to look very closely I think when you go to Sri Lanka, and I don't know how many of you have been there in recent months, I think, having been there before, under the Rajapaksa government, I think you can smell the difference. You can feel the difference. There's really an absence of fear. Now, some of you will say that's not true in parts of the north. I believe it is true. I think people are now going about their business largely free of intimidation. These things take time. Messages take a long time to filter down. The culture needs to change. So not everything will be perfect overnight. But I think there's a palpable difference when you go to Sri Lanka as opposed to when I last went there 2 or 3 years ago. I think the diaspora Tamil community have a huge role to play in the future. I'm not suggesting you all go back and live there. You perfectly enjoy living here and having your businesses here. But please don't forget your links. Please don't read everything that's printed in some of the papers. Please don't believe everything you're told. Just buy your airline ticket and go there and see also what you can do in your part. We can do something as a government to government, but what's important are what we call the people-to-people links, a favourite phrase of the Foreign Office, and that means you engaging back with people in Sri Lanka, driving forward that progress, aiding the international community to make sure we get that reconciliation, we address the wrongs of the past, end this culture of impunity and immunity, and we can all look forward to one Sri Lanka going forward, rehabilitated, prosperous for all the people of Sri Lanka, taking its place in the international community. That, I think, is what we all want, and let's hope that we can all work together to that end. Thank you.